So this is not a video that I'm necessarily going to enjoy making. This isn't one that I ever really wanted to make, but it did seem inevitable. What you're looking at now is the report, or the Future of Jobs report. This is released by the WEF, or the World Economic Forum. We're going to go through this and look at exactly what sectors are going to be affected and really what they're predicting. So in order to have context for what we're going to be speaking on and what we're going to be reading actually from the Future of Jobs report, I'll also leave this in a link down below so you can go through the entire thing. It is 163 pages long, and it takes a while to read, let me tell you from personal experience. So in figure 21, we're on page 29 here of the report. This is a share of tasks performed by humans versus machines 2020 versus 2025 expected by share of companies surveyed. So what we're looking at here, the brown and blue line. The brown line is machine 2020, or the light brown line on the upper. Let me see if I can actually get a bit closer. The upper light brown line is machine automated tasks in 2020. The dark brown line is machine automated expected by 2025. Similarly, we have the purple line, which is going to be human manned, manually done jobs. This is 2020, and the lighter blue line is 2025. So we can see just right off the bat that this line is being pushed, and this goes, as we see down here, share of task hours. So this is total hours spent by human versus machine in these industries. And the one I want to look at is all tasks. All tasks, and that covers so much, because to get some context on that, in here we have information and data processing getting the biggest leap. So this is the largest affected sector. Expected by 2025 is all information and data processing, which honestly just makes sense. No human can have 60 plus billion parameters they're pulling from at a split second like ChatGPT can. And really, you have to think of ChatGPT and these other models, these other LLMs, or large language models, because that's really what this is talking about here. You have to look at that in the spectrum of GPT was revolutionary conceptually and revolutionary in its processing capabilities, and it was just the tip of the iceberg. It was just our foot in the door, and it already can do everything it can and everything we've been seeing. Looking for and receiving job-related information, performing complex and technical activities, administering work, identifying and evaluating job-relevant information, performing physical and manual work activities. Now, while we see that data processing up here, it's going to be mostly automated by machines primarily. We see that manual work activities down here, manpower, but it has one of the biggest gaps, or the biggest losses. If we're just looking at this purple line, which is what humans are doing right now, this is the 2020 what humans are doing, you can see that it's one of the biggest drops, other than looking for and receiving job related information, which is still kind of falling under data processing. This manual work activities, this is farming, this is construction, this is factory work. A lot of this is factory work. People on conveyor belts turning into just an AI arm on a conveyor belt. And we actually talked about this a few videos ago with what Google is actually producing. And I forget the exact name. It was like the Google Cat or something like that. It is an arm that you can show it a picture of what you want it to do, and it will do that with physical objects. It can manipulate physical jobs, physical tasks. So that is one of the biggest jumps that we have in machines overtaking human activity. We have communicating and iterating, reasoning and decision making, which kind of goes back into data processing, and coordinating, developing, managing, and advising. I know they're working on, I believe at Google, they're working on like a managerial AI. So just replacing managers with AI that can teach all the same things. And if you're thinking, well, that wouldn't work in, say, a Taco Bell, well, we have this up here as well, performing manual work activities. So you could have an AI with an AI voice, a large language model in it, and say Google's tech that lets it actually reach and do these things. that eliminates the need for even fast food workers, right? So imagine pulling up to a Taco Bell drive-through or any drive-through, and all of a sudden you're talking with an AI that has a voice model behind it, and it's being trained by an AI. Like it's every sector is going to be affected, and that's what I'm really thinking of when it comes to this. So let's scroll down a little bit. Now that we have the context of this map, we're going to read into emerging and declining jobs. This is where the 85 million job loss is actually first mentioned. We're still on page 29 if you're following along with the document. So extrapolating from the figures shared in the Future of Jobs Survey 2020, which we just looked at that chart, employers expect that by 2025, increasingly redundant roles will decline from being 15.4% of the workforce to only 9%, which is a 6.4% decline. Now, we're saying that that is already going to be declining, and now we have the AI intervention into that. And that emerging professions will grow from 7.8% to 13.5%, which is just about a 6% growth as well. And that is of the total employee base of company respondents. Based on these figures, we estimate that by 2025, 85 million jobs may be displaced by a shift in the division of labor between humans and machines. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at an overall encapsulating, totally encompassing displacement of humans to machines. And while 97 million new roles may emerge that are more adapted to the new division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms across the 15 industries and 26 economies covered by the report. So they're saying that while we will be losing the kind of human edge in our workforce, if you will, all these new jobs are going to be created that revolve around AI and machines. And that's great. But where are all those people that are going to be filling those positions to run the machines? And how many years do we have until machines can teach machines and machines can run machines? And then those jobs go away. Where do those people then go? Because at this point, if you're not a developer, if you're not someone that can create these LLMs and really kind of up the bar, if you cannot stay ahead of the corporate structure, if you're in the open source community, if you can't stay ahead, then you're becoming very quickly irrelevant. And this is what I'm thinking of in everything I do, because eventually AI could even run YouTube. You could be just communicating with an AI here. That this personal connection that we share and we have for the last 5 years of making videos, that could be replaced by AI. And yes, there's always going to be the desire for the human element, at least I hope, but that could diminish as well. So when looking in, we're actually going to jump up to page 5 of this. The pace of technology adoption is expected to remain unabated and may accelerate in some areas. This is really the first place where it starts talking about artificial intelligence as a whole. The adoption of cloud computing, big data, and e-commerce remain high priorities for business leaders, following a trend established in previous years. However, there has also been a significant rise in interest for encryption, non-humanoid robots, and artificial intelligence. So even at the very beginning of this review, they were noting that there's been a significant rise in, well, in artificial intelligence. And this is really before like Facebook's Llama, that initial leak, that initial kind of bite or doorway into the LLM world and the AI world that the open source community received. That leak was really the initial point of recognition or acknowledgement that, hey, this is coming and it's coming really fast. It's actually already here and has been developing for a multitude of years. We've covered that in a few other videos as well. So this is really saying that the interest is just starting to rise, but I'd argue that it has been rising for quite a few years. To get a more upfront view and kind of literal view of what we're looking at, I want to jump over to this article by Forbes. And this article is Jobs on the Verge of Disruption, How AI is Set to Redefine the Workforce. And this gives us a look at some of the actual jobs that are at risk, not just sectors. So we have bus drivers, taxi and truck drivers, and this is being replaced as self-driving vehicles pioneered by companies like Tesla get better. Of course, the need for human taxi drivers kind of going to go out the window. I personally saw this, the first ever self-driving taxi. We just did a couple weeks in Vegas, and it was absolutely insane to see all of the self-driving vehicles just going around the city. And I mean, if you've never been to Vegas, if you've never been to the Strip, it is absolutely jam-packed with people who have no idea how to drive and no care in the world about how the car next to them is doing. And they were just seamlessly integrated in, so it was really incredible to see. We have warehouse workers, politicians. Now imagine the first AI robot president. That's actually horrifying to me. Beauty providers, sales agents, hospitality workers, tradespeople, and artists. Okay, and then it goes on. I'll link this article down below as well because it goes on to kind of cover this more and Forbes' look, or this author's look or outlook rather, at what the future is going to be. But let me know down in the comments below, are you going to be affected by this? Is this something that your line of work, your profession, what you've put, maybe 20, 30, 40 years into, is this something that's going to be affected by this, and how? And also let me know, because I want you to start thinking about it. What do you do after this? What do you do 2025? 85 million jobs are displaced, and at the pace it's going, it may be closer to 100 in my personal opinion, if not more than that. So let me know. Let's start a conversation down in the comments below. If you enjoy these type of videos, check out one of them on your screen now as we go in depth on our AI tutorials. Always free, always fun content.